My name is Dr. Austin Tay. Welcome to In Conversation. This segment is brought to you by the Division of Industrial Organizational Psychology. We are very delighted today with us, Ms. Vivien Hau, founder and executive coach of Flow Consulting. Hi, Vivien. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Austin.
How are you?
Great.
It is fantastic to have you in this conversation with us today. Now, I was just wondering, maybe you could actually do a brief introduction of what you do and your career.
Oh, wow. I'm an organizational psychologist. Uh, I am an OD practitioner. I'm an executive coach. And during the pandemic, actually, I picked up a new role as a home teacher.
Yes.
I would say home teacher in training.
Yes, of course, you have two beautiful children. So you are
Yes.
doing a lot of teaching, and I think
Yeah.
something that I would say kudos to all the mothers and the fathers who are actually
Yeah.
bound at home and teaching their kids at the moment. So yes, so you have a plethora of different roles, as you said. Now your career is also quite illustrious. You started as a in-house, or rather a consultant first,
Consultant.
and then you
Yeah.
went to in-house. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about your career, your
Sure.
journey.
Sure. So, I think we know each other for a long time now. I started my career as a consultant, I would say the first stage of it. Um, and then I moved in-house in different multinational corporation, mainly in the financial market, um, for almost about a decade. And then I'm now in kind of my third phase of my career as you can call it entrepreneur, you can call it like a contributors to the marketplace from a different perspectives. So I started my own business back to 2018. Um, as you ask about it, maybe I can talk about the turning points. So it's
Sure.
the turning points between the consultant to in-house and from in-house to the entrepreneurial career. I would say each part of it gave me really, really big excitement. Um, but at the same time, it also takes courage to make that jump. Everybody knows that I love PDI. And
Yes,
when
PDI.
and when I was in the consulting career, at the beginning, I was having really good time with PDI. It was fantastic, and it was a lovely tribe that I still hang on to. Um, so making that move and jump into the in-house, I think ultimately is come down to one word: curiosity. I
Mm,
just feel curious about how things actually work out
mm,
at a corporate, and
yeah.
that's how I push myself into it. Um, and then from the corporate to being on my own, I would say is the same thing. It's kind of going with the flow and the curiosity. Yeah.
Great. I mean, I like the fact that you were saying curiosity is the motivator for you to move from one area, from consulting to in-house, and then to where you are now. A solopreneur, I think that's what people are calling all of us nowadays. People come out because they have all this experience. They want to share with people. Now, if I may indulge you or indulge myself, really, when you talk about PDI, we have a history with PDI. In a way, I knew you what we were just counting when we were talking before this recording. 12 years ago, when you were working for PDI here in Hong Kong, and I came in as a cadre. So that relationship that we know each other is,
Yeah.
God, that is a long time. That is a long time.
That is a long time, but a good time, right, Austin?
Yes, it was. I think for those people who might not know, or listeners for this uh, conversation here, some of them will be our members, newer members, and maybe people from overseas. PDI is one of those consulting names then in the early, I would say, 20s, 2000, early 2000, which is very thriving consulting firm. Of course, PDI is now part of Conferry. Those were very different times when consultants like ourselves,
Mm,
when we graduated, we didn't have the luxury of, many things. A lot of things we had to do it ourselves. I remember you telling me stories about, excuse me, telling me
What
stories
did I
about
say?
her.
You get me very
I
curious
know. I'm just thinking about the stories that you were telling me about. You travel to different countries to do the
Yeah,
projects, and that kind of excitement because everything is very different. Despite the work is similar, but every country you go is very different. And do you think that was that perhaps the starting point of your curiosity, burning in you?
I think that curiosity is always in me. Um, One of the question I got asked most often is, Vivian, how do you see your experience in consulting and corporate? And all the psychologists always love to ask, so which one should I start first? So I would say when I reflect on it, I think I love both. I love both experiences and all the experiences. And I can see that actually they are aligning with my values and my genuine desires, um, ultimately at different seasons of life. I would describe it in this way.
Mm, mm,
So like, say for example, consulting, it gave me diversity,
yep.
um, novelty,
Mm-hmm.
um, adventure,
Mm,
yeah, and
mm,
depth, expertise. So
mm,
so all these are aligned with who I am. um, Corporate, the experience gave me that intimacy with the business, with the people, that togetherness, um, and that close connection with the business purpose, like able to contribute in a different way. So they serve me really, really well, and align and resonate with me very, very well at different seasons of my life. So
mm.
I can't choose which one is better, but I can definitely say that know ourselves what fits us the best at different times of our life.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think you're right to say so. I mean, a lot of young psychologists or graduates of psychology in IO, they get very confused. What is the best career for themselves? Should they be in consulting or should they go in house? There is
Yeah.
no fixed rule here. Whatever that is available, I mean, especially at this time, the market is very different from when we started out as a consultant. That is definitely divulging our age here, but I think it's very different for a lot of young psychologists because they, in a way, they might not necessarily have a lot more choices than we had because we have so many different consultancy firms that
Yeah.
we in the past and also different in-house roles. Now it's a bit different. And I think I like the fact that you were saying different stages of your life. You call it the different seasons of your life, knowing what is actually your
Mm,
calling. What
mm,
calls you, and then that's the right thing to do.
mm.
Which I think is a very good kind of transition from you having that very good grounding in both consulting and in-house, being who you are today, doing your role, as you said, you're a coach, you're also a consultant with your job. Tell us a little bit more. Is the role different now from when you were a consultant before as a consulting firm and in-house? Because now you are a solopreneur. You are doing what you love in a different capacity. Are there any differences?
Um, no, I think I'm still who I am. But I would say with the experience and the maturity probably helped me to show up more as honoring the authentic self of me, like what I really love. What do the and be a bit more sensitive to what the world really needs.
Mm, mm,
So I would say organizations or people in organizations are still a core community that I would love to serve. But
mm,
I see like possibilities for many different systems that I can bring myself into.
mm,
Um, it could be parenting, it could be like couples relationships. So I see more possibilities with that. Yeah.
okay. I mean, with your work that you're doing, are there any particular focus you are looking at, that would, as what you say, you want to help people, you want to be using your expertise to coach someone or to share knowledge
Mm.
with our listeners here today, and also to the wider audience itself? Are there specific things that you're focusing in your role as a consultant or as a coach at the moment?
Yeah. So my core focus is to help individuals, teams, organizations to live out their natural gifts. That's my mission.
Okay.
And by saying natural gifts, I don't only refer it to talents. We obviously have different talents, but also the different qualities, the uniqueness in us, our different characters, our attitudes, our network, um, our relationships.
Right.
All these things come naturally. At the organizational level, it's the same. Like for an organizations to be successful, they must come up with some natural assets they have
Mm.
that the competitors do not have.
Okay.
And my focus is to help organizations to look for all these resources, or individuals or teams to look for these resources and what they have. In a way, it's a paradigm shift from what doesn't work to what's working well and how we can leverage it.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Oh, that's very interesting. You say the word natural gifts. I want to think that it is something that we inherently as individuals already have, but yet to discover. So maybe you can bring us on this journey now. How do we as individual actually discover the natural gift that we have?
so so you point out something really interesting, Austin. Whether it is innate, I believe that yeah, a big part of it is innate. Um, it works with my very fundamental belief that we are all created as a master gift, as a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
We are all created as a masterpiece, and there is great work that we can all do. Yeah. And with that fundamental belief, I believe that every one of us have something great inside us. It may come with us back to the date when we were born. It could also be things that we gradually let it show up and it becomes more vivid, like
Mm-hmm.
more colorful as we grow with our experience. But it also comes naturally. So it's in all of them are inherent in us. We just need to trust them
Right.
and honor them and let them show. So, as psychologists, we all know the importance of insights, self awareness. So,
Yes.
start with the self awareness, start with going back to the basic of
Mm.
psychology, ABC: affection, behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
cognitions.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's how we feel, what we think, how we think, and how we behave.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So coming back to my curiosity, so my encouragement is to stay curious about day to day, how we feel, how we think, all the bubbles in our mind, that self-talk in our mind, and stay curious about how they are affecting how we behave.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. I like the way you use the acronym ABC: affection, behavior, and cognition. How we feel, how we behave, and how we think. Now, we are in a very strange situation or times at this present moment where what we understand as traditional working environment has changed, right? Because of the pandemic that everybody is facing all
Mm.
over the world. Now, how then can we still do you think the situation at this present moment will in a way impact the way we feel, the way we behave, the way we think? Because gone are all the traditional things that we understand. Because when we are working in the office, we have the comfort of
Mm.
a location, we have
Yeah.
the connection or the network of our colleagues and also people that we work with, both locally or remotely. This is kind of the kind of dynamics have changed dramatically since last year. And now, as we are coming into 2021, do you think A, B, C, affection, behavior, and cognition will change or has changed or would remain the same. It's just that we just probably need to have a different perspective. What are your thoughts, in terms of that?
We definitely, the feelings, thoughts are definitely there, and behaviors all the time. This ABC is always there. And we react to the changes of the macro environment differently by different people. Um, but when I'm hearing from your description, Austin, I hear one word, space. So it seems like the space is something, according to what you suggest to share, is something really important to the individuals. So my encouragement is to be aware of the space we are living with, and also be aware of the space in us, the space within. Yeah. And this interaction between the space outside and the space within us. And when I say the space within us, that is in-depth understanding about ourselves. It could be the ABC element I just talked about. Come on, back to the basic of psychology.
Yeah, yeah.
And we all have that emotions, thoughts all the day to day. I'm a mother, so I am fully aware of the possible emotions and feelings we all have during this time with children being around, and or even for people who are not parents, maybe they have different things going through in their life. Some people may lost the very, very important significant others.
Mm.
Some people may lost their job. So many things are going on. But as I listen to people's stories these days, I also listen into what they still have and what they feel grateful about in 2020. I remember a lot of conversations that when people talk about their pains last year, they also talk about what they feel gratitude about, what they feel grateful for.
Mm.
You know, the pain is like two sides of a coin. Like on, if you flip it over, behind the pain is actually love. A lot of things are about like the environment, the love. It could be jobs, it could be families, it could be different things. It depends on where you shift your focus.
Mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think you're right to say that because of situation that we're in, it's very natural for people to go to the negative side of things first, rather than the positive side, and be thankful what we have and achieved in the past. Now, I want to know whether, human beings are as such. All of us like to think badly about things or about ourselves. One of the things that you talk about in your writing on some social media platform is about imposter syndrome. I mean, that's one of the areas that you talk about. My question here is, would all this negative emotion prevent us from actually radiating our true colors, and how can we actually prevent that? From your perspective.
I see it in this way. The world is changing. Obviously, we are in a world that becomes more uncertain and ambiguous. But at the same time, it also brings possibilities. It also brings possibilities. Jobs may not be the same. A lot of jobs, and with pandemic, it may accelerate the pace for AI, for other things to replace the job, or maybe we question whether the skills we have are still valid to the world, whether we are still valued. Maybe a lot of these emotions and feelings are triggered. But I would say I feel very hopeful in a way that it depends on where where you focus on. So my increasing passion with appreciative inquiries,
Yes.
and I would say if we take a look at from the appreciative inquiry angle, from the AI angle, let's focus on what is possible. Yeah, what is possible? Who cares? What matters?
Mm.
Where is our positive core? Where is our what's working well? How can we leverage on it? There are actually multiple different possibilities there.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, as you say, it's just suggested your passion in appreciative inquiry is to ask those questions yourself. You know, what really works for me, you know, and to be more positive about it. And that will, in a way, build that foundation for us to discover our true colors, true self, as you said, our natural gifts. Now, I really fascinated with this word about natural gifts and true colors. You know, we had this exchange of emails quite recently. We talk about, you know, all of us, as both of us as psychologists, and also a lot of people who are listening to. I will really wish that they will be would be psychologists or are already young psychologists or even experienced psychologists, be able to resonate what we talk about as in helping others, right? To identify their true selves. But in your perspective here, what else can we do as maybe an individual or a psychologist or someone who is actually thinking of their growth as a psychologist or an individual? What should they be thinking about? You know, in line of what you're saying, being the true color that we are. What would be your advice to them, or maybe tips for them?
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, listen to your heart. Yeah, listen to, we are in a very busy world. We are all very busy. And there is not much time that we can really slow down and ask ourselves who we are and what do we really love, what do we really like. And sometimes, maybe even as a simple stock tick about our strengths, we don't have time. My suggestion is, well, first of all, don't, if you are in a very successful state, congratulations, but don't let your success to define who you are. The success could be socially constructed as, okay, this is the way we see success. Um, Listen to yourself, to what you really want. Yeah. The other thing is, if you are in a difficult time of your life, no matter whether it is career-wise or relationship-wise, also listen to yourself. Like, maybe it's a good time for you to press the reset button and choose the path you really, really want, and honoring like who your strengths and your creative best. Or if you are in a transitions, like to maybe a bigger role, great promotions, or in a transitions of even changing career, there may be times that you questions, okay, am I really doing the job well? Then just think about this. Shifting from the mindset of, am I doing that enough or am I good enough, to how can I learn along the way? Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
it's
I
kind
think
of,
this,
sorry, you were saying, Vivian?
I was saying that, so as my, I think we got to be, because I like to ask questions, you know me
Right.
from day one. I love questions, but I think the appreciative inquiry approach helped me to shift the focus to look into how we ask questions. We got to be mindful about how we ask questions, because if we ask the questions about probing into problems, probing into the current state that may not work as well, you will find more problems. And the mountains in front of you is going to grow bigger and bigger. But if we inquire into, like, what can we do? How can we do it differently? What else can we do? Like organizations, how do we survive? How do we tap on this very important time, and how do we get our marketplace, our space in the market well? Going back to the positive strength, get people together. I think this is the spirit of still finding resources at a difficult time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have actually given advice both to individuals and also organization, how they could actually look at what they are facing now, or maybe in the future, things that are very not as planned, not something that you actually hope for, to listen, to be listening to your heart and understanding what are the things that you could actually do to move forward. And that is a very important lesson here, and not doubt yourself. And then one of the things that you were saying, if you are in a transition, you're moving on to a new job, taking a new challenge, be bold to try it out, because if you don't take that step, you never know what is actually ahead of you. And I think that is a very true spirit of, as what coming to the point that we're here talking about, is the true colors, your natural gifts. Sometimes you wouldn't know until you try it, and then you discover your own true colors. So I think that is a fantastic way of sharing with our listeners here, that, you know, whatever you're facing is okay. And we were talking early on before the recording that a lot of things that we feel are very common and very normal. We as human beings, we feel, we doubt ourselves, and then sometimes we would think negatively. What we need to do is to go back to our core, go back to us, listen, reevaluate, take that chance, and look at what we can do to move forward rather than thinking about the failures. Is that, would that be a good way to kind of summarize what you just said?
Very well said, Austin. And I just want to add on top of what you shared. I mean, a lot of people see the bigger trend of positive psychology as like we only focus on the positives. We forget about the negative side of it. I would say I see it as a slightly different way. Um, Actually, it's not about only seeing the positive side, but this is about how we manage our energy. How we manage our energy, we still recognize that the pains, the problems, the challenges are there, but it's about how we spend our energy to put our focus on something that will flourish and grow. It's the same at different human systems. Yeah.
Right. So the great work here will be accepting those negative feelings at the same time, and flourish from there, and then see what are the best ways you can actually improve yourself, and move on with from those negative emotions and thoughts. Yeah. Um, Very, very insightful as usual. Talking to you, it's always been a pleasure talking to you, Vivien, off this recording, and I'm glad
Likewise.
this time we got you, because I think you, for those people who do not know, actually, Vivien is not just only an executive coach and a psychologist. She was also one of our executive committee member of the division itself. So it is an honor to be able to get someone of your expertise, or your experience, to share today with us, for our listeners. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. And I'm sure, if time permits and perhaps maybe an opportunity occurs, we would like to invite you back to talk to us, and hopefully, and also give some new insights to what you're doing, and sharing to our listeners, especially those who are young psychologists coming into this part of the work that we do. Thank you very much, Vivien, for this conversation.
Well, thank you, Hong Kong Psychological Society, and thank you, Diop. Thank you, Austin, and also Evan behind the scenes for putting all this together. Is always my pleasure to come back to Diop. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Yeah.